All right. Welcome to our first Data Analyst Nano Degree webinar. My name is Javier Ortiz. I'm going to be your mentor through this program. I've completed the Data Analyst Nano Degree program myself, and I'm really excited to help you complete yours successfully. The objective of these webinars are for me to introduce a topic or a walkthrough of the difficult parts of the projects. And through your questions and everybody's answers, really, that we can provide feedback and guidance to complete these projects. So today, I thought of starting with one of my favorite topics, which is SQL. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why I think it's important that you learn SQL. I'm going to teach you how to write your first query. I'm going to teach you an extra add-on, and finally, we'll open the floor for questions and answers. So if you're ready, let's get started. So why learn SQL? Okay, so SQL is the most common used database language. Now, companies nowadays store their information in databases. Okay, and the way you can communicate with these databases to pull data out of them is through SQL. As you can see from this visualization, most database engines run with SQL. The top 4 database engines use SQL as their main language. Now, another reason why it's important to learn SQL is that SQL is one of the most sought after skills by hiring employers. And it makes sense because data is all around us. And the people that can pull that data, they offer a really valuable skill. As you can see from this visualization, SQL is the second most practiced computer language. And this survey was focused on developers. SQL is being used by everybody, by all levels of many organizations, because you have the power to pull data regarding sales, regarding orders, regarding customers, regarding grades. If you're a teacher, it depends on the sector, but you have the power to pull all kinds of data. And finally, why I think it's important to learn SQL, because you need it to complete your first project of the program. Okay, here is a picture of your classroom, Udacity classroom, and it has a part where you're going to extract information data from a database using SQL. All right, so hopefully I have convinced you that SQL is an essential skill for any data analyst, and let me teach you how to write your first query. So let's start with, what is a database? A database, you can think of it as a collection of tables. So all of us have worked with Excel or Google spreadsheets in the past, and you can have many tabs, and each tab is a different table. So that's basically what a database is, a collection of all these different tables, but with asteroids, okay? Because you can hold many more information that you can hold in, more data that you can hold in an Excel or Google spreadsheet. So for example, right here, I have a database that consists of 2 tables. Okay, a first table is called Teacher Assistants, and it has 3 columns: a TA ID, the first name of the TA, and the last name of that person. And our second table, is named Courses, and it has 3 columns as well: a course ID, a course number, and a Teacher Assistant ID. So this is our database. Now let's query it. And let's say that we want to pull all data about teacher assistants. So in what table will you find this information? The teacher assistants table. Okay, so if I want all the data about it, all the data found in this table, I would pull it using this query. We start all SQL queries with a select statement. In that select statement, you specify what columns you want to get from that table. And in this case, we want to get all columns. And we use the asterisk symbol to specify that we want to get all columns. Now, in the second statement, that is a from statement, that indicates from what table do I want to pull the columns that I specify in the select statement. Okay, so I want to select all columns, that's the asterisk, from, and then the name of the table, which is teacher assistants. Now, you can notice that the word select and the word from are capitalized. Okay, and that at the end of the query we have a semicolon that indicates the end of the query. And this particular query would pull the entirety of the table teacher assistants, and we can see it right there. Now let's have a different scenario. Let's say that we want a list of all the course numbers. Okay, so in this case, we don't want all the columns. We just want one column with the course numbers. Okay, and we start with the select statement as always, capitalized. And here we can specify the columns that we want. Okay, since we want one specific column, we can write the name of that column. And in our second statement, from, we're going to specify the table that we want to get, that we want to query. Okay, so I want to select the course number from the courses table, and this will give us this list. Okay, so one specific column from that specific table. Okay, now let's add an extra add-on. Okay, and this is going to be the where clause. The where clause is really powerful because it creates a condition. You can think of it as a filter. Okay, this will filter out all the rows that don't match that condition and will just show us the ones that do match that condition that we established. Okay, so this is a reminder of our courses table. And let's say that now I want to pull all data about courses associated with TA ID number 2. Okay, so there is a clear condition and there's a clear filter. Okay, I don't want all courses. I just want the courses associated with TA ID number 2. And here, the select statement, I'm going to select all columns. We do that with the asterisk. From, and then what table are we interested in? And that's the courses table. And finally, the condition. Here's where the where clause comes handy. Where, and then our condition is the TAID column equals true. So I'm going to select all columns, that's the asterisk, from the table courses, where the condition is that the column TAID equals 2. And this should give us CS 262 and CS 101, and sure it does. Okay, it filters out the ones that don't match that condition. All right, so here are the instructions that you have at your Udacity classroom. It says use the SQL workspace below to extract data from the temperatures database and download the results to a CSV. Then you can open it up in a spreadsheet program in order to analyze it. Obviously, I don't have the workspace here, but you have it in your classroom. And there are 3 tables in the database. Okay, the first one is the city list, and this contains a list of cities and countries in the database. Look through them in order to find the city nearest to you. So it looks like we need to get the entirety of this table for you to visually look all the cities that are part of the database and find the one that is closest to you or the one that you live at. Then the second table is city data. This contains the average temperatures for each city by year. Okay, so that's the average for San Diego for 1990, 1991, 1992, 1993, etc. The average for New York for 1990, 1991, etc. Okay, and finally global data. This contains the average global temperatures by year. So in 1990, the average global temperature was this. In 1991 was that, etc. Great. So let's say that we're interested in getting all the columns, okay, from a specific table. We're interested in getting all the columns from city data table. So what statement would you use to get all columns from a table? Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to think of the answer. And the answer is the select statement with an asterisk. Okay, remember that in the select portion of the query, you specify the columns. And if you want to get all columns, you use the asterisk. Great. Now that we have selected all the columns, let's say that we want all the columns from the city data table. So in what section of the query would you specify the table you're pulling data from? And the answer is going to be the from section. So we have selected all columns using the asterisk from, and then you can specify the table that you're interested in. So let's say from city data. Okay, so far we have all the columns from the city data table. Now let's say that we're not interested in all the cities. We're just interested in the city that we live in. So in what section of the query would you specify a condition if you use one data from a specific city? Okay, and the way we specify a condition is in the section, you guessed it right, where clause. Okay, that's where we establish our condition. And our condition can be something along the lines of where city, that's the name of our column, equals, and then the name of your city. Okay, so we have selected all columns using the asterisk from city data, that's the name of the table, where the condition city equals San Diego or city equals New York or whatever city you're interested in. And this will pull the correct information. Now you can query the database as many times as you want, and you will get different information, different data, depending on the queries you write. And what you can do after that, you write a query, and there's going to be a button over there that says export CSV, export as CSV or something along those lines. And you're going to download a CSV file, and you can open it up using Google Spreadsheets or using Excel and work with it as a regular spreadsheet. Okay, you can do this as many times as you like in order to get the information that you're looking for. All right, so this is the introduction to SQL, and just as conclusions, SQL is an essential skill for a data analyst. Since most databases use that language, you will be unstoppable. And databases, you can think of it as collections of tables, just as when you have many tabs in Google Spreadsheets or in Excel. You can use select to specify if you want to pull all the data using an asterisk, or you can write the specific columns that you want to query. And then from specifies the table you want to pull the data from, so that's where you write the name of the actual table you're querying. And finally, where establishes a condition, establishes a filter. Okay, a condition that has to be met in order for the query to show you the data you're looking for. All right, so that's the introduction to SQL, and now we'll open the floor for questions. And if you have something to add to my answer, please feel free to do so. And let's get started with the first question.